Alright, Speedromizer community, my time as a host has ended for the night. However, I'm leaving you in the hands of the more than capable, the legendary, Seriously Surly. My friend, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, DJ. What an amazing Shaq Fu run. Always a treat to see the Shaq Fecta. Always a treat to have Gooby and DJ together. Appreciate it so much. Thanks for doing this. Thank you to Speedromizer community for getting money donated in to let us reach that goal of $500 and be able to see that Shaq Fecta run. Coming up is going to be Helen's Mysterious Castle, run by Carabachi, the any percent good and bad ending, or good / bad ending, however you want to think about that. Just a couple quick things before we get going into that. My name is going to be Seriously Surly. I will be with you for the rest of the evening. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some speedrunning content, and we will be with you in just a moment. Alrighty, folks. I have gotten the word. We are ready to rock with this Helen's Mysterious Castle run. Take it away, Carabachi.
Alright. Hi, everybody. I'm Carabachi. People call me Cara. People call me Bachi. At this point, they're both pretty interchangeable. And yeah, we're going to be playing Helen's Mysterious Castle. It's like a little RPG Maker game. We're more or less going to get a sword, swing it really hard, and we'll win. It's like the favorite kind of thing to do. So, I'm going to go ahead. Timing starts just whenever I press new game. So, if we're good to go, I'll do a little countdown. 3, 2, 1, we'll go. Now, I did tell you that we were going to swing a sword really hard. That's actually not quite true at the start, because we have to get that sword. And to get the sword, we have to start with a bow. And so we kind of run forward, we're going to counter this slime, and we are just slinging arrows until the slime is gone. We'll take some damage, but it's not really consequential in any major way. Once we're through that, we have to head into here and pick up our shield, which will matter a little bit here and there. But another slime drops behind us, we hit it with the bow, and it will go away after one attack. Well, one attack on us, that is. So run over, we heal up at the water, upgrade our bows so we can actually take out this goblin here. And again, we're kind of slinging arrows, but now we kind of get into the way combat really works in this, which is each attack has an effect, a defense, and it also has a wait time for the attack. So often what we're doing is we're trying to line up the power of our attacks alongside the wait times for them with what the enemy is doing. So like in the case of these goblins, we can get 2 arrows off before they can do 1 slam. That gives us time to guard with the shield. And then we're kind of waiting until they do a great swing attack, you can see at the top, and that gives us enough time for 2 more arrows that will take out the goblin. So we take out that one, we're going through this dark hallway, and that gets us to our sword. And the sword is more or less the main thing we need for this run. There's other things like spells and whatnot, more powerful swords, etc. But really, we're not super interested. Basic longsword is well and away good enough for our purposes. So we're going to break that pot, get some experience, upgrade our sword to +2, and reorder it to be in front. That way we can swing it faster. And now we're just kind of swinging through some skeletons here, trying to get to our first and only spell we're really going to use in combat for the run. We will get another one fairly soon, but it's not really a combat spell. So, kind of same beats as before, waiting through until we get a great swing, or a great slam, rather. And then we'll hit with a longsword, and it goes away. So we have one more skeleton, and after this we have a little bit of a dodge we have to do, because we need to get a spellbook for the spell Thunder. Because while our sword is really cool, there are some things that need to be thundered. And so we're going to put down a save here, actually, because I have to do a dodge on a mummy that opens up here. Thankfully we got it first try, so we didn't even need that save. But if that mummy catches us, we are in a pretty bad way, because we can't reliably kill it without not having enough HP for this golem. And so for the golem, we hit it with a thunder because we have the time to do that while it's bulldozing. And then we guard, we get another thunder off, and we're just going to finish it with a longsword, which, if I'm correct, the +3 longsword is actually exact lethal here. So it's kind of a cool lineup. This run is very well supported by the fact that it has a... Oh, I have to reset because we can't take that encounter, so I put the save down. Anyways, this run is very well supported by the fact that it has a very well done guide, where each fight is pretty well planned out and you know what you need to do. In the early game, which is really just this portion here, that can be a little bit rough, because you can't take fights that aren't listed. If you do, you lose HP, you really don't have to spare, and you'll have to go back, heal, lose a bunch of time. But for now, we are in on the Griffin. And we need +4 longsword here, because if we don't have +4 longsword, the Griffin won't guard for us. And this is where we really start to use that weight mechanic a bit more, because we're kind of lining up our hits with the amount of time they take, versus the amount of time that the enemy is going to take to do their attacks. And that allows us to get off the hits we need to in accordance with their attack pattern. So in this case, I'm using the longsword just as a way to line up that wait timer at the top, so I can get off my thunders and get the kill before it kills me. And now we get a little bit of a small break here to kind of explain what we're doing story-wise. More or less, we're on this little adventure, and our first main objective after that kind of tutorial-esque trial is we need to go take out the Demon King in town. So we're going to be going to do that, but first we have to walk along with our friend Artis, who is going to feed us some very good steaks that will increase our max HP. And we get revealed that there was a secret tunnel to get to where we wanted to go the whole time, but it just wasn't open because we aren't that beloved. So we spam through some dialogue, and then we're going to eat both of these steaks because they give +1 HP for each one. So we slip out of here, head down, sneak through here, go back the way we came because we got dragged up without really wanting to be. And now we're going to head through here to get into town. Now once we're in town, we need to go ahead, we're going to talk to a couple of NPCs that open the way to the mountain where we need to go. First one being this kid, and then the next one being somebody in this house. Break this pot, get some health, and we talk to this person who I always end up talking to a little bit too much, but not this time. Then we head over here, and this area is going to be a little bit familiar to us for a while, because we have these harpies here. And the harpies are pretty much the best way to be grinding up levels in this game. And so we're not grinding quite yet, but we are going to kill just 5 of them on our way through, so we can start to get some of that experience we need. But as soon as we go through here, it'll pretty much be we come right back and we grind to level up our longsword. Because every time we kill an enemy, we get experience, we can apply that to the item, and that levels up the item, makes it a bit better. Let's go ahead, we'll heal up here, we have to kill this harpy, and then we are continuing through, because we need to get to the heal spell. The heal spell is kind of what unlocks a lot of this game, in my opinion. That and the longsword. I'm gonna put down a save in case an enemy catches me. Like that. But the heal spell really unlocks things, because currently I'm having to like restart the game every time we have a combat that's not in the route. Once we have the heal spell, that's not as big of a deal, because we can just heal outside of combat wherever we want to, and so we don't have to worry about anything else. We're essentially just going and winning. So I'm going to put down an extra save here just in case, but this lizard man was in a good spot, so we didn't really need it. So one nice thing about this game is saving is pretty free. So we get our heal spell, and then we need to step forward. We're going to upgrade our longsword to +7, and now we wait, funnily enough. Because if you wait long enough, Helen will do that little pose you just saw on screen, and that activates this statue, and it more or less speeds up the run by, I think, according to the guide, 1/4 of a second. But it's just a funny little thing. You stop moving and wait to do a pose. Now we need to die, because we need to get back to town, and the fastest way to do that is to have our friend here knock us out. So we take a little loss, but we're going to wake up, and thankfully this town is very nice, and if you wake up, you get a steak. And that gives you 1 more HP. Then now that we're back here, we have to go into the mayor's house and go through some dialogue, because we need to talk about whether or not we need help for the castle. The mayor says no, because we aren't beloved. But that's okay, we'll take some free health on the way out. And then now we're going to use that heal spell to heal the blacksmith's wife, because we need him to work on some stuff for us, primarily our sword, and, you know, he's too worried. He says, nah, I gotta get her better, and so we're going to fix that. So we're going to talk to him. He's going to start making us a key, but we have to come back in a little while before that's done. And once that's done, it will actually open up his shop for us. And so we need to fill some time. So in the meantime, we're going to go back to these harpies, and I have to grind out 13 of these. So I'm going to be going back and forth in and out of the mountain, killing the harpies as they spawn. But if there's any messages or announcements and whatnot in the meantime, be a pretty good time for it.
Absolutely. So, start with Speedromizer. Speedromizer is the charity marathon with a twist. What you submit is not what you run. Accepted runners are randomly assigned a game from someone else. You have 90 days to learn the respective game. That sounds like an awesome time to you. If you have been enjoying what you are seeing, if you have enjoyed the commentary and the people and the weird lineup of games that you have seen over this weekend and the coming weekend, hop into our Discord at speedromizer.live/discord. With that, because we are attempting to be a very beginner-friendly event, it's not just on the runner's side, it's also on the volunteer end. We do have open volunteer signups before events. Most of the roles do not require experience. We do have extensive documentation. We do live training before the events. We are available to answer questions and comments and get you some practice in beforehand. All this is to say, we want you, if you feel intimidated by hopping into a bigger event, come volunteer for us. We'll help you out. So, same place, same stuff, Speedromizer, .live/discord.
I will definitely second that. My usual speedrun haunt is like the Fallout games and things like that.
Yeah.
And getting into Speedromizer has been very fun for trying out different things.
Yeah, we definitely push people out of your comfort zones, and sometimes it doesn't fit, and that's fine. We're fine with that. We just ask that, we try the games early enough that we can do a little swap around. Sure, it shortens that 90-day window, but if it's mechanically too difficult, or it's a controller-based game and your hands don't work with a controller, or whatever, right? Lots of reasons why that won't work out, but I'm glad you had a good experience.
Oh yeah, I was in the last Speedromizer with Klonoa too, and that was a great time. And this game has certain appeals and things that I joke about as I play it that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I think this is Harpy 13 if I've been actually counting correctly. So we should be able to upgrade our longsword to +9 here. Yep. And so with our longsword at +9, we actually can't upgrade it on our own anymore. We are just not experienced enough to do anything good with it. But our friend the blacksmith who we helped out, he can help us. And so we're going to get rid of this longsword +9, and we're going to get something a little bit better. And that's the longsword SP, which is just longsword, but really good. Because there's like flaming swords in this, there's a sword that's made of ice. We don't worry about that. We have longsword SP, just good old cold iron, and we'll call it good. But now that we have this in the heal spell, we're pretty much free to conduct ourselves as we please and work towards the end of the game. So we're going to run through here. If we get into a combat, it doesn't matter, because those harpies we were two-shotting before, it's now one shot. We just walk through. Our defense is also just in general higher, so we're less able to be hurt with it. And we're more or less in the closest thing this game has to go mode. So we're going to run down here to where we were supposed to go originally, and we're going to get confronted by the 4 lords of this castle. And they're going to do their little cutscene where they introduce themselves as the Lord of Poison, the Lord of Darkness, the Lord of Silence, and the Lord of Paralysis. And they're very dramatic about it. They're telling us, you know, we're never going to win. That's not true. They haven't met the longsword yet. So we go ahead, we finish mashing through, and then we're just going to be going to fight each one of them. The first one is the one whose gimmick is probably the most interesting from a gameplay perspective, and by that I mean problematic. So we're running here, and now we can't run. If you notice, there is no more game music. We are very quiet, and that is because we are on the Lord of Silence's level, which is like a library. And if we make any noise in the library, you know, it's not going to be a good time, and the doors will lock, and we won't be allowed in. So we have to walk through until we get to that door, and now we can run and not care at all. And this is kind of our first instance of, we have the longsword, which is really good, but enemies have abilities to actually stop you from just spamming that. In this case, this enemy has the sealed sword, which, when it hits us, will get rid of the ability that we were using at the time it hits us. So, in this case, we are wasting our thunder and our shield to get those taken away, but keep our longsword so we can actually defeat the enemy. So we beat him, no big deal. And now we get another cutscene. We're going to get one of these every time one of these lords is taken out. They're a vehicle for like telling us about story stuff, to make jokes, all of that. But now we can run through here freely. It doesn't matter if we get into a fight. We're going to break this pot, get some HP, because we couldn't do that originally because breaking a pot makes noise, and that would have blocked the door. Break this one, get a little more. And we are onto the Lair of Poison. Now, the Lair of Poison, it has this poisonous floor, but depending on the degree of Pokemon you've played, you'll know sometimes poison can't actually take you out. It'll take you to 1, but that's it. And so we get taken to 1 HP, but it doesn't matter. So we can run through. We need to upgrade our Thunder to +2, and we need to heal up. This is where our ability to heal through the book is very useful. I'll put down a safety save, just in case. But Thunder is a bit more effective with the timings in this fight. So we'll be going for Thunders on the Lord of Poison. So we get it with a Bite. We get a Venom Breath here, which is actually good for us, because we can do an extra longsword hit after this. And that gives us a little bit more damage. So then we go back to Thunder. Gonna take a Bite. Or, no, because our Thunder is supposed to actually. We are fine. I misspoke. Yeah, normally you're just swapping Thunder Longsword, just one after the other to get through that. But since the poison did a Venom Breath, we get a faster kill. Pretty nice. We get a joke about a Minotaur here. We're just skipping through it. We kind of have the same response as the other characters in the cutscene, and we say, that's crazy. We should probably get back to running the game. So we're gonna slip back through, get caught by this Cerberus that always catches me. But it's fine. Fights at this point are more so like very small time losses than they are run ending like they are in the early game. So we'll dash through, and now we have to head upstairs to get to the other floor. Starting with the Lord of Darkness, who lives in a Lair of Darkness. If anyone else here is a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, you're used to the Lair of Darkness deck, or at least I hope you are. It's a pretty cool deck. Sadly, it's not quite the same here. Because the gimmick with this fight, in the same way the last one was poison, is that we are in darkness, so we can't see. We cannot see the enemy's health bar, we cannot see what moves are being queued against us. We have very little information to work with. That doesn't matter. We are going to swing our sword really hard, and we will just win off that alone. Because we have the longsword. They can't hurt us. You might take away our information, but you can't take away sword. And sword just wins. And so we get our last little cutscene with the Lord of Paralysis, who is thankfully very short about his gloating. And now we just have to slip out. This area is surprisingly a little bit more intuitive than it might appear just by running through it and you can't see anything. But I think mostly that's just, I've been through it enough times that I know where I'm going. But it's not too bad to learn. So now we head over here. I'm actually going to walk in and out of this room. I've been getting a weird bug with this game where it won't spawn all of the enemies for me. But if I open up the room twice, it seems to fix itself. So, should all be good, and we are. So, the intended solution to this is that you would paralyze one of these lizard folk and get him to step on the button like that. We don't have to do that. We can just get the AI to walk onto it for us, and that will open the door. So we don't have to worry about that. Puzzle solving is cool, but also we could just not. The save here is more so performance than anything. This fight is you swinging a longsword. Because the gimmick of this one is that the enemy will stun you and it makes you take longer to do things. However, sword is still pretty good, and we can't take damage because our defense is so high. So we'll try to line up and absorb. It's not going to happen though. And now we get a message from the Demon King telling us to come meet him, and so we're going to go do that. Because that sounds pretty cool. That sounds like what we originally came here to do. So we're going to run back through, dodge all the traps, and now we can use the teleport circle because we posed on it earlier. And now we need to do a small door puzzle, which I got caught, but that's okay. Where the doors will open and close as you go through them based off of the colors. And we need to get one item from here before we can actually move on. So we go blue to green to purple to blue to green. And that will get us these speed shoes. And what the speed shoes mainly do for us is they allow us to take moves in combat one turn earlier than before. So if you notice, our longsword takes 10 to use normally, but now that we have the speed shoes, the longsword only actually takes 9. And while that might not sound like a big difference, like it's a difference of 1, when it's 10 to 9, that's still 10% faster. With something like the bow that takes 5 points to use, it's now only 4, so it's like 20% faster. Percentages, it's rather big. And it helps us with certain fights. In this case, we're fighting the Demon King, who has this big mantra about the outfit, how, you know, the entire body is a weapon and everything. That's pretty cool. We have a longsword. And so we just are a weapon. And so we're just going to swing the longsword until it's done. Sometimes there is an attack called Darkness that can deal actual damage to us, like it will deal 50 damage if it hits. In all of my test runs of the game, it's only happened once that I've had to heal instead of going for the hit. So it's very rare that that matters. Usually the fight is just like this. We swing our sword, we sit through a little death animation, and the fight is done. That, however, is not the end of things for us, because as we are told, as the Demon King starts laughing, this was all a performance. We have been played. You see, they wanted to be certain that we would actually be good enough to go to the next area in the castle, And to do that, we had to be tested by the Four Lords and the Demon King. And so this has all kind of just been a big, you know, haha, it was all a prank sort of moment. And so we sit through their dialogue, and now we get to continue towards the actual endgame. So we run out, we have to follow the mare out, and we have to remember to grab this healing. And we are going to the town statue, because they are going to go ahead and open up the way for us. So they'll open up for us, and through here we're going to meet a few more characters that are important for our actual endgame as we move towards the bad ending. The bad ending is, quite frankly, just faster and also fits much better within our time slot, so that's what we're going to be going for. We get some dialogue here from these other characters about how the way has been opened and etc. We're not deathly interested, so we're just going to move on. And we get to meet kind of our first endgame character, I would say, that being the Skeleton Knight. If you're familiar with the concept in media that sometimes you make like a really strong character and you show off how strong they are, but then they immediately lose every fight to showcase how somebody else is even stronger, the Skull Knight is kind of in that area. So we're just going to continue on our way, running around through this area rather quickly, grab another bit of health. And as I said, we're more or less in go mode, and so we are just running from boss fight to boss fight. So we're going to run through all of this, get caught here. Usually this happens. These enemies are... they are difficult at the best of times for me. But we go through the side hallway that the game likes to hide. The Skeleton Knight is there, probably has some dialogue. We're not worried about it. We're going to run into here, I'm going to check my health, I'm just going to heal for complete safety, because once we're in here, we can't use our recovery spells anymore. Gotta dodge that Phantom there, because that fight is a little bit obtuse. We get up here to the Soul Cage, whose whole thing is, again, taking our abilities. And so we do that, we're going to give up our Longbow, because while Longbow is pretty cool, we don't really need it. And then we're just swinging our sword, because if we don't take our sword, we can't lose. So, that's done. We're going to run up here. I need to heal before I save, even though it shouldn't matter. And we get a short cutscene here where we need to skip through some dialogue. So if I mess this up, but I don't, we would have the incorrect dialogue. That's why we really need to save before then, just in case we hit the wrong option. Skeleton Knight is going to tell us about, you know, the burning agony and the freezing Yasha. We say that's pretty cool, but we have Longsword SP. And Longsword SP is just a far superior weapon. As we need do nothing else except use Longsword until the very end, when we can slip in our Longbow and get the kill with an arrow. You can just go for the Longsword there, it will still get the KO through the healing, but the bow is just a little bit faster, because then you don't have to sit through as many animations. So, we defeat the Skeleton Knight, no big deal. And now we are moving on to really the final bits of this game, because we have to take the sword and break through this barrier, which story-wise propels a few things into motion. For us, we just want a way out of the mysterious castle. We've been here a long time. We want to go home. Well, not home, but we want to go away. And so we have to open up the way. It's kind of been our main objective, is trying to get out. So we're going to run down here, talk to the statue, and that's going to trigger the arrival of a couple of NPCs, who flap their way in from over here. Well, one of them does. The guy underneath, Zach, is just along for the ride. I will say this is going to trigger a very brief cutscene that does a little bit of flashing lights, so If you are sensitive to such things, I recommend you look away, and I will let you know when it's over. It's very brief, but worth mentioning. Because they're giving us a bit of a background into things our character doesn't know about, and it's going to trigger a flashback right here, where we kind of flicker through a bunch of memories, and we get some information about Artis, our friend from the beginning. And so all the lights are over now if you would like to look back. And we wake up sometime later, and we find Zach has already left. So now we need to get back. And getting back, you know, that takes a long time. And taking a long time to walk back, that can be pretty cool, but also, as we learned back in the castle the first time, we can also just get knocked out and wake up back in town. So we're going to do that. Now, most of the enemies in here are gone, but there is one enemy left because it's guarding an item, and so we're going to go say hi, get knocked out, and get a free pass back to town. Because we need to go back to our initial house so we can get to where we need to go. The way we're going to do that, we're just going to spam Thunder. It has no defense, we get knocked out, and we are where we need to be. Right back in town. Now, we can't actually take the path we took before up those stairs because the way won't open, so we have to do a little bit of a run back through the initial area. Get caught, but that is fine. We're just kind of retracing our steps for a moment. Getting caught on everything, and it currently seems like a pretty good run, all things considered. So we'll slip up here, run back through, and we're just finding our way back. Oh, wrong way. So we run out, get back home, and if you remember, we picked up a longbow from the chest in the beginning. The chest was blocking this door. That was the entire narrative purpose of that chest being there. And now that it's gone, we can get here. Now, the thing about this place is that our longsword's very good. It's not good enough for these enemies. The little ones we can take out just fine, but the bigger golem like we have there, or the phoenix that we have here, are quite simply too strong for us. I've been able to take out the phoenix relatively easily at times, however, it's never been consistent at all, and so the best route is just to dodge. So I'm going to head in and out once just to see if that helps us a bit. Seems to have. So we're going to dodge past. I want to put down a save here just so we don't have to do that again. And if you remember, I said Skeleton Knight kind of loses every fight to show off how strong somebody else is. Well, sorry, Skeleton Knight. It happens. Happens to the best of us. So now we have to take up the fight. Check our HP. We are only at 76, so we need to pick this up. I must have missed a health somewhere along the way. Oh, I did not upgrade my Thunder. And that is why we saved. So I need to level my Thunder to +8 here to actually be able to get this fight properly. Now, I know I said our longsword's really good again, but again, part of this game is like you want to prompt certain attack patterns. And so we start with the longbow, then we go into our Thunder, because that baits out this sword, which is significantly weaker than the other sword for whatever reason. Let's just go into a couple of longswords that we will follow up with our shield, just to waste some time. And before this heal can happen, we get our hit with the longsword, and the fight against Zack is over. With just 3 HP remaining, but that's all we really need. Now, that is actually the last fight of this game. It is not the end of the run. We still have to do one more little run through the mountain to get to a griffin that's going to take us away. But in terms of the actual combat we'll be doing, outside of if I run into a small enemy here or there, that was our main fight. I see a little bit in chat about how the game looks cool. If you want to try running this game, the guides for this game, I have to give full credit. They are immaculate. Like, both endings, the guides are amazing. Things have really been more or less labbed out, different variables are taken account for, and so it might seem like maybe a lot to know, but all the information is readily available. So it made it a very approachable run. Zach is going to lose here because Zach believes that he's very strong and can win, but Zach just lost to us. Not that great, honestly. And so that big bad runs away. We have to go back to our cabin, get a little bit of exposition about how our friend Artis here is going to leave behind the cabin and the lab and head down to the bottom floor to settle a score. That sounds really crazy, and it might take a lot of time, so we're just going to head back up to the Griffin, and we're going to leave, because that's a lot of work. So we're going to dodge past everything again, heading up, putting down the same saves as we did before. These enemies are fine, they can't hurt us. Because if we just go longsword into longbow, they are gone. But this enemy, who is being very obtuse right now, come along. That's good. Like I said, either of those two enemies, if they catch us, we are done. But we are going to talk to our Griffin, and then tell the Griffin that we want to leave, and time will be whenever the fade to black is done. So I'll give a rough countdown for that here in just a moment. And we finally speak a line. Our character has been more or less silent this whole time, and we're going to say some words. And we're going to say goodbye, Mysterious Castle. Because it was a pretty crazy place. 3, 2, 1. That would be time. And the Mysterious Castle was a great time. And that is pretty much the game. Like I said, it's really approachable run. The mechanics are they're fairly simple, but understanding how the timing works can be difficult at the start when you're not used to things. But it's a very approachable, very fun run.
That looked great. Especially for a, what did you say, an RPG Maker game?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of places where they probably could have put a wall in or two, but hey, makes for a better speedrun if we can just grab sword and go.
Yep. Strong sword does everything.
Well, awesome. Got any shoutouts?
Shout out to I Have No Name for submitting the run originally, being approachable, also writing the guide, if I'm remembering correctly, so all props there. And I suppose, just as well, like, kind of my home speedrunning community with the Fallout community, they're really great. So they kind of got me into speedrunning.
We appreciate it. Awesome. Well, thank you for the excellent run.
All right. Yep, thank you.
All right, folks. Give a hand for Carabachi and that Helen's Mysterious Castle run. That was excellent. We do enjoy some homebrew games. We do enjoy some well thought out notes. We do enjoy a run that goes really well. So awesome. GG's. Let us take a few minutes here and give you the rundown about what's going on, who we are, what we're about, and then we'll go into our ad break. So, first up, we are Speedromizer. We are a charity marathon with a twist. What you submit is not what you play. You have 90 days to learn your game. So, these are all runners, not all, but almost all runners who have learned a brand new game just for this event. And that's super awesome and super cool. And we'd love to give them as much support as we can. We are a charity marathon, therefore we are raising money. The charity we are raising money for is called QMUNITY. QMUNITY's mission is to improve queer, trans, and two-spirit lives through support, connection, and leadership. They envision vibrant, diverse, and celebrated queer and trans communities where individuals are empowered to live their lives fully, free from discrimination. Thanks to your support, QMUNITY is able to ensure that no one in British Columbia gets left behind. So, when you do !donate in the chat, when you go to our Tiltify, and you are donating money to this cause, we do have a few things open. So don't forget to put your money towards one of our open incentives. We have one that's coming up next, which is choosing the name of the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles character. So right now, I don't have a clear good way to see this, but there is 2 options, and one of them is leading at $65, the other one's a little bit behind at $33.33. So if you would like to change that last minute here, and it will be coming up in like 7-8 minutes, you want to have your name as the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles character, get those donations in, and we'd love to see what you name that character. Alright, we do have a little bit of a stretch break every break, so we're gonna get up, we're gonna move around, we're gonna get some water, we're gonna hydrate. The sun might not be up in your area, it's certainly not up in mine, but we're gonna pretend like it is, and we're gonna go and take care of ourselves for a little bit. So, we'll see you when we get back. Stick around.